Okay. Let me just make sure that we are live. We are live everywhere. We need to be live before we start. Welcome everybody to the Mokoena show live. This is the place where I pick some stories and we speak about them, and I tell you what I think is going on and give you a little bit of opinions. This show, I'm going to try and make it a little bit more now that we're in the off season. But if you want the regular show, it is on Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. That's where I get to ask you questions and you get to interact with me over there on TikTok, but you can also watch it live here on YouTube. So Monday, 7 p.m., that Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. is when the normal show is on. This, of course, is the Mokoena show. So I'm going to jump straight into what we're talking about today. We've got 4 topics. The first one, rumor has it, Moroka Swallows is on the chopping block. Moroka Swallows is available to be bought. David Mukhashwa, it seems that these season struggles were not struggles that were going to pass. It's struggles that are causing him to want to go sell this team. As you know, with Moroka Swallows this season, they've struggled a lot. They went through and they couldn't pay salaries in December. There was a whole strike. They missed 2 games. People got shipped off. New people got signed on lesser contracts. Coach Steve started the season with them after leaving Sundowns and then left in the middle of it, crying about management and all of those type of things. A lot has happened when it comes to the Dube Birds. A lot has happened this season, and it's not enough. There were also rumors that they had their sponsorships blocked, right? Everybody was speaking about how Telkom wanted to sponsor them and Gold Rush wanted to sponsor them. The rumors were that they were being shut down by the league. The truth of the matter was that those sponsorships were not going to be sustainable for the league. One of the things that Telkom wanted to do, allegedly, is that they wanted to flight matches that were not going to be shown on Supersport, which then goes against the rules of the contract that they signed with the broadcaster for the rights of the league. Gold Rush wanted to take all types of data, allegedly also on that side, wanted to take all types of data and have a lot of leeway within the players themselves and all of these things data-driven, in a data-driven league where they could use that data to, embolden their betting app and their, all of the things that they do, their odds and all of that stuff could be affected by this, and the PSL couldn't allow it. All those things are alleged, but those were the things that were explained. So now this club is up for sale. And we know the story. It's very sad in South Africa to see clubs being up for sale. It's very sad to see that owners within the league are not able to financially keep up the burden of keeping up the team. John Committees came out and told us that to run a team, you need at least 60 to 80 million rand a year, depending on how good you want to be. Now, the league does give you, I think it was 2.5 million a month. It should, the rumor is that it's going to go up to 4 million. So of that 60 million, around 48 million would be covered by the league's grant, which is an incredible initiative from the league side, right? But that is not where I want to focus. Yes, it's sad that we're losing these teams. Yes, it's sad that Moroka Swallows, after fighting back and getting back the old logo and reconnecting with its history, as you know, this Swallows is not necessarily that old Swallows. It's a great story. We've lost Abo Bloemfontein Celtic, we've lost Abo Bidvest Wits, we've lost so many teams within the PSL that have long-standing histories, but that's not what I want to focus on. What I want to focus on is the actual deal and the offers themselves. Now, it's rumored that Moroka Swallows is up for sale for 40 million rand, and 2 offers have been highlighted from the people that have come in to try buy Moroka Swallows. Number 1, we have Lawrence Mlaudzi. For those who don't know who Lawrence Mlaudzi is, he was part of the group that created a TTM. I'm forgetting the order in which they did all these things, but essentially when TTM was started and the status was bought in order for them to become a PSL team, Lawrence Mlaudzi was one of the leaders of that deal, right? We all know what happened to TTM. They also failed at some point, and also selling statuses, couldn't keep up with the money, The second one is also very interesting. It's Abram Sillo. Abram Sillo is the owner, or was the owner, is the owner of Marumo Gallants. Marumo Gallants got relegated after that very impressive Confed run and the problems that they had in Libya and all of that stuff. And what's worrying me, honestly, about this deal in particular and the people who are coming in, at what point do you create safeguards within the buying of teams? When do you say, Mara Sigbonile, you own TTM. Sigbonile, Imarumo Islands went down. We saw what happened to you guys. How then do we allow you to buy back in again? How then do we allow you, after failing financially, failing with some of the things that you were running, after doing all of that, how do we then allow you through the door again? And it's not just a situation that happened with Moroka Swallows. David Tiriela did the same thing with the Black Leopards. When Black Leopards went down, they bought a status and came back up. He got to keep his seat on the governing body of the PSL. How many times are we going to allow these owners to try and rebound back in after they've failed? I, for one, am one of the people that would say, you know what, guys, for the next 5 years, after everything has gone wrong, after you've sold the status, after whatever, after 5 years, you're not allowed to do that. Because one, it cheapens the league. It cheapens the league. Cape Town Spurs goes down, they buy a status, they come back up. Whew, we get another bite at the cherry. We weren't ready back then, but we get another bite. We want to come in and do whatever. It cheapens it. Because now any team that goes down, any team that is in the first division, if you want to jump BQ, you just buy the status. Mamkhize was in the middle of disciplinary action taken against her team because she didn't honor the playoffs. Obviously, they had their reasons. They went to court. They did all that stuff. In the middle of a disciplinary, she bought Bloemfontein Celtic. In the middle of a disciplinary. What does that say about the long running of a league? What does that say to potential sponsors? Imagine I come in and I give you my 5 million nyana, and then later on I find out that, oh yeah, by the way, that 3-year contract that you signed means nothing. If Royal AM got relegated, for example, what would that mean for that Herikwala team, Herikwala deal that they signed? Now, with all of this instability happening around the teams, why would a sponsor come in and sponsor a team in the PSL, knowing that if I can't get Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, if I can't get supersport, if I can't get the teams that are a little bit higher up in the rankings, a little bit higher up in the ability to stay in the league, I'm risking wherever I go. Number two, the fans. How does a fan base get built if tomorrow you can move? If today we are Bloemfontein Celtic fans, tomorrow Royal AM has moved it across the country or to Durban. Well, I'm a Wits fan, and now you're no longer a Bidvest Wits fans. You're no longer going to that stadium. You now have to go to Limpopo to go watch TTM play. That was the deal. How can the league allow people to keep coming back, people to take bites, and people not to be ready? Imagine I'm about to buy a team, I successfully negotiate, I get inside, and then all of a sudden, I don't have the money to take on this team. Should it be an all of a sudden situation? Shouldn't it be that they were vetted? Hey man, how much money can you contribute towards this team for the next 5 years? Hi, if you don't get a sponsor, right, are you able to pay salaries? Are you able to pay for travel? Are you able to pay for coaching staff? Are you able to do all of the things that you need to do when you own a football team? Why is it that it's by surprise, man? The league doesn't even have mechanisms to make sure. You know, other leagues, I'll give you an example. Ukraine war starts. Abramovich is pulled out. They say, no, you are Russian, you are persona non grata, you can no longer own a team. In the months that followed, the league took over the team, took over some of the costs, took over some of the running. Obviously not internally all the way down, but at a high level came in and said, okay, fine. We are actively going out to look for owners. We are actively going to audition owners. We're actively going to vet them. We're actively going to look at their plans and do all of that stuff so that when they step into that Chelsea chair, we understand that they can hold the team, they can run the team, they can buy the players, they can keep up the standard where Chelsea is. Yes, I know football hasn't been the best thing for Chelsea right now, but in terms of money, I don't think they've been found wanting. So at what point does the league stop looking at these guys? Oh, Bloemfontein Celtic is in trouble. Mamkhize, do you want to come in? Already his owner. Oh, Swallows is in trouble. Abram Sillo, please, Tate Sillo, come. Tate Mulaudzi, come, please. Can you put something towards this? When are we going to start moving away from these things? It's very interesting to watch SA Sports. Right now, those in rugby, those who are watching rugby, you'll realize that there's a restructuring that is happening within rugby. South African rugby has realized for most of the teams that they cannot keep up financially this level that they're playing at and keep getting better. So it almost feels like as a league, they came together and said, guys, since we can't do this, let's all approach this a certain way. You are going to sell stakes in your teams, majority stakes in cases. You're going to sell good 80%. But then we're going to stipulate that our rugby runs the same way. So now what you have in rugby is that the admin, the rugby part, is taken, still held by those people that understand the game. But the ownership, the funding, the capital is going to guys like Tate Motsepe, Johan Rupert, who own a majority stake in the Bulls, Remgro and Tate Motsepe. You have them owning part of Boland. You have capital firms, hedge funds, coming in and owning parts of these teams. So they know that financially we are set. But football, well, rugby-wise, we are also set because those guys are fitting the bill for us to carry on doing what we were doing. But now in the PSL, in comes a new owner, out goes a coach, out goes the staff, out goes this. In comes a new owner, you don't know where you're going to play tomorrow. You don't know what you're going to do. You don't know what your contracts look like. In comes a new owner and a once great team. Think about Bidvest, Wits. When it was bought by TTM, it dissolved. It dissolved. They lost Gavin Hunt. They lost the players, Abu Taisin. They lost heritage, they lost fans, they lost all of those things. And what scares me is that year on year on year, this happens. Year on year on year, another team is up for sale. Another owner can't cope financially. Another person can't do this. When will the PSL step in? When will the PSL step in and say we cannot keep doing these things? We cannot keep allowing this to happen because, like it or not, it's impacting business. But to bring it back to the point, it's shocking that owners that have done badly before are given chances to come back into the top flight. Not even first division. It would still be bad if it was happening in first division, but it's the first division. It's the Motsepe Foundation Championship. It's the ABC Motsepe League. The stakes are a lot lower. But for the fact that this is happening year on year within the PSL should be a scary thing. If this team Swallows is well and truly for sale, can we get in people that can guarantee that they can run a team, that they can finance a team? Can we make sure this time, PSL, please? Because this is what impacts everything. This chopping and changing. Anyway, guys, I want to move on to the next topic. The next topic is finally happening. I'm so happy. Okay. There's rumors. There's rumors that Coach Steve Komphela is wanted in Tanzania. We all know Coach Steve Komphela, the years that he spent within the league, Boma Free State Stars, Boma Bloemfontein Celtic, Boma Golden Arrows. We know that he was at Sundowns for an extended period of time, left and went to Swallows, didn't quite work out, found himself at Golden Arrows again, is currently the head coach of Golden Arrows. Apparently, Steve Komphela is being sought by Simba FC over there in Tanzania. Simba FC, of course, one of the two biggest teams in Tanzania, but has been underperforming. Obviously, it's them, Simba, and it's young Africans over there in Tanzania, right? So apparently, allegedly, Coach Steve is being wanted, and Coach Steve is being wanted to be put there, which is incredible. I think on the face of it, getting a nice deal from Simba is great. Getting a nice deal in another country is great. But for me, and what I want to focus on is these are the opportunities that we cry for our coaches. These are the things that we want for our coaches. A lot of our coaches are very comfortable being local heroes. They're very comfortable being the big boy in a small pond. They understand that if I lose my job, it's not going to take me long. Think about it, Coach Steve. Think about it. Moroka Swallows' job ended. Chigi is at Arrows. Quick, fast, and in a hurry like that. Head coach, everything is sorted out. You think about Coach Vilakazi, Vusmuzi Vilakazi. Leaves Arrows, pops up at Chippa 2 weeks later. Leaves Chippa, pops at Richards Bay. You think about Coach Morgan Mamila right now. Leaves Chippa, pops up at Swallows, comes back to Chippa, pops up at Baroka. He's at Baroka right now. Within, what, a week of him actually leaving that job. Or he was technical director / but a week after leaving his job, he's got another one. Our coaches are so comfortable. And then the question for me becomes, at what point do our coaches get tested outside? At what point do they take it upon themselves to go, you know what, guys, I want to go get better. The reason why we love Coach Pitso, we love Coach Pitso and we revere him so much, and part of the reason is that Coach Pitso went, you know what, guys, I'm leaving Sundowns. He could have popped up at Chiefs. He could have popped up at Orlando Pirates. Very easily. He could have been coaching there, but he thought to himself, you know what, I need to go outside and go challenge myself and go grow. And it seems that our local coaches don't have that thing. Look at the European guys. Look at the foreigners that we've hired here. Coach Zimbauer, Joseph Zimbauer, former Pirates coach, he's at Raja Casablanca right now, currently #1 in that league. Raja Casablanca. Trying his hand there. Abu Midendorp left, he went to Singit Fountain Gate in Tanzania. Didn't have such of a good time with that team, but he went out and tried it. You look at people like Abu Ramorebule playing in the Champions League. From Botswana, he jumped to Botswana. Now he's playing in the Champions League. I like this story because I would love to see more South African coaches go outside and forge their names bigger than just in South Africa. Steve Komphela is one of them. Very, very experienced, has been in the game for a very long time this side. Gavin Hunt is another one. I'd love to see Gavin Hunt go out there, maybe to a Champions League team and actually play in the Champions League proper without having his hands tied behind his without having his hands tied behind his back because of he can't book flights and he can't do all of those things, and financially it's a struggle. Our Eric Tinkler, CAF A license holders now. They all have CAF A licenses. I think our football can grow so much if we can allow people to, if more people wanted to go out and test themselves, if more people wanted to grow the footprint of the South African game overseas, there's so many things that we can gain from that. So many things. I'll give an example, which is different, but it's an example. Bradley Cornell, legendary Bafana Bafana player, one of the big boys, the people we remember, right? Left SA, went to America, is coaching St. Louis City. Oh, by the way, do you know who was signed by St. Louis City just, I believe, 2 seasons ago? Jabula Plum. Do you know what that allows? It allows you to go, oh yeah, by the way, I'm South African. I can act as a gateway for these South African players to come through. I can act as a gateway for more opportunities for some of these kids, some of these players, and they can come here and I will vouch for them. I will protect them. They are my countrymen. It increases the status of South Africa. You get a good player, you get a good coach that side. And you could probably change the outlook of how people look at our country and our football. So I think these things are very important. And more coaches need to start looking into these opportunities. I said last week, I spoke about Ukosh Tentens, for example. Why stay and be subject to getting suspended every now and then, be subject to getting moved on by teams, be subject to being treated as though you don't have a Nedbank Cup in your bag, you haven't saved so many teams from relegation, you haven't brought styles of play and all of those things into those teams. Go overseas, man. Challenge your people, your representatives to go there and figure it out. Who knows? Maybe you're also coaching in the Champions League. A chance that you're probably never going to get here. A chance that many big teams are not going to look at you and give you that chance. Even the CAF Confed teams don't seem to want to bring him on. Coach Steve, with a wealth of experience, played in Turkey, all of that stuff. What are we gaining from having those guys stay in the league? Bounce around from team to team, outside of closing chances for newer coaches to come in. So this story really grabbed my attention because I'm hoping that this is where people go. I'm hoping to see Abo Hunt, I'm hoping to see Abo Tinkler, I'm hoping to see all of those type of coaches go out and just, man, go international, spread your wings, challenge yourself. I think there'll always be a landing spot in South Africa. I think there'll never be a time when Coach Steve is not given a job in SA. So go, test yourself, man. No, but Mirandop, jumping up and down. Coach Mirandop leaves, goes to Europe, comes back. Goes to Tanzania, comes back. So I'm hoping that this opens more opportunities. I'm hoping it's a real opportunity. I'm hoping in my heart of hearts that Coach Steve takes it. And I'm hoping that it kind of allows more coaches to do the same thing. So let's see how that pans out. Now, speaking of coaches, Coach Gavin Hunt, there's a story, there's a rumor that has come out where they're speaking about right now. The rumor is that his contract is ending and there hasn't been talks with SuperSport. Now, more than likely, SuperSport is going to come around. He's going to get the job, he's going to move on and all of that stuff. But it makes me question some things. Yes, they had a poor season, I understand. Playing in Limpopo was a factor, even though playing home games in Limpopo was a factor because they needed to drive 5-6 hours to go play home games, their own home games. They also had Confed Cup, where we know what travel in Africa is like, and I don't know what the budget of SuperSport looks like in order of chartering and doing like things like that. Sometimes it takes up to 18 hours to go and play certain games because of connecting flights and all of those type of things, and not being able to afford jets and all of that. Great. But what I want to speak about here is a tendency of South African teams to leave things late. They leave these things, these decisions, these moves so late. Think about it. If my contract is ending now, this is my contract, it's ending now. I've got a couple of days, it's 2 weeks before my contract is null and void at the team. What if I decide that I don't want to coach that team anymore? What if I decide that I want a new challenge? That means that that club now has a month to try and get somebody in before a preseason can start. They have a month to try and figure out where to go find these people, interview them, bring them in, do all of that stuff. You know, I was watching the EPL towards the end of the season, and you start to see what efficient, what professional teams do. You start to see their planning is ahead. So if you think of a Liverpool, Liverpool's planning was so far ahead in terms of who are going to bring in that their current coach was the one who announced it. Their current coach was the guy who said, he was chanting Arne Slot. The season just ended, which means that Arne Slot has been spoken to before that time. Arne Slot has been asked, Ufuna bani, ufuna ani, how do we change to bring this guy in? How do we adapt to this new coach? They did their research mid-season. Klopp, are you going to be here next year? No, I'm moving on. Okay, work begins. Okay, we're going to go sit back and we're going to go look at the options and we're going to go, really take our time with figuring out where we want to go. I don't know if Arne Slot is going to work. I don't know. But it's that professionalism that we lack. Chiefs, again, just to repeat what I said last week, Chiefs knew that they needed a new coach. Knew that this man is caretaker. Yet we're still hearing rumors about contracts being signed now. We're still hearing rumors that they were still looking at people. Santos left, Young Africans, if I'm not mistaken, or Simba, one of the two. He left, Santos left Petro de Luanda, they're in Angola, and now he's free. Hey, now there's rumors swirling. Coach Pitso has been a rumor forever. He's in South Africa chilling. Abonabi left negotiations to go and sign for other teams. He might be coming back. It feels like everybody's flying by the seat of their pants. And it's not just up there at the top when you speak about our supersport, double Chiefs, Think about Skukune right now. Suspended coach Ziawa, who's meant to come in. Apparently, they've sent an offer to Gavin Hunt. Moroka has suspended Dance. Now Morgan Mamila is holding the reins. You don't know for how long. You don't know whether they're going to be in the future with him. What happens if they don't make it through the playoffs? What happens when you have to prepare for a season? Pella time is ticking. What happens if you don't even know who your coach is? So it's so interesting. Again, sometimes it feels like the PSL doesn't take itself as seriously as it should take itself. Chiefs told us last year that they didn't have a preseason plan. In my mind, preseason has been worked out 6 months ago. In England, they announced, no, next year we're going to America for preseason. It's going to be the American tour with Chelsea and Arsenal. They're going to be playing New York FC, and they're going to be doing this, they're going to be doing that. Those things have been announced long before. Let alone coaching changes and contracts and things like that. What is something that we say about the English Premiership every single day? When you speak about English Premiership transfer windows, what is the one phrase you hear a lot? How did this team let it get down to 1 year? How did this team let it get down to the last 6 months of a player's contract? How is it that this team has not negotiated things? Guys, Bob Pep were announced a year before. He was going to the final year of his contract. Man City started speaking to him and they said, it's fine, do your year. Mara, what am I paying? You are a Man City person, no contract, you can sign it right now. Starting 1st of June 2025, you are the new coach of Man City. We're going to get everything ready for you. We're going to touch base with you throughout the year to make sure that everything that you want is catered for, how you want to train, how you want to change the training grounds, how you want to do this, how you want to do that, how you want to do that. Hey, all these things are ready so that when you arrive, when your contract ends at Bayern Munich and you walk into City, we're not scrambling to try fix things now. We're not scrambling to try to figure out all of these things. They'll even tell the coach who's in charge that, my guy, hey, you've got 6 months. We're not renewing. This is going to be the end of your contract. However, when your contract comes up, we're not renewing. We'd still love you to finish the season. Still love you to finish the season. But we've planned so far ahead that we already know who's coming in 8 months from now. But a PSL team, fire abantu now today, kusasa ngelumuntu. Think about Golden Arrows. Think about Golden Arrows, which was a very swift move to get Steve Kompela. But think about Golden Arrows. Coach Vusmuzi leaves. You've got Coach Kenyeza, who's there, right? Coach Kenyeza goes through what? 7 games. There was a 7-game run where he didn't get a win. He lost 7 games, right? Can you tell me that it was a plan to get Coach Steve in? Or was it just convenience of him coming onto the market and him being familiar? The other thing I think that kills PSL clubs, honestly speaking, is that they rely so much on familiarity. Yeah, no, he coached here 5 years ago. He knows the setup of the rooms. He knows everybody that's in leadership. You know what? We're not going to struggle. Bring him in. Instead of, how do we take this club into the future? How do we make this club better successful? Because let's be honest, a lot of these coaches that are doing the merry-go-round in the PSL, it's not necessarily that they've got the best records. It's not necessarily that they're winning trophies left, right, and center. It's not necessarily any of those things. It's just because you have been in the league for a very long time. Ernst Middendorp is not going to struggle for a job. He last won a trophy, let's say a trophy or a league. When last did he win a league? It was his first stint with Kaizer Chiefs. So when I bring him in, am I bringing him in to move forward, or am I bringing him in because on his CV it says he once coached Kaizer Chiefs? When I bring in Uzbanban, am I bringing them in because I've got a plan for the next 5 to 10 years of my club? Or is it because, yes, Lomuntu, he knows the PSL, he's been around, we can bring him on the cheap, we can give them 6-month contracts, we can give them 4-month contracts, and they'll be okay because they're desperate. So what decision are you making there? And how much planning has gone into this decision? How much planning went into Coach Steve going to Golden Arrows? How much planning went into Coach Siema joining Skukune? How much planning? And was it forward planning or just, I must bambe for now so that we can keep the club alive for another year? And when you keep the club alive for another year, I know I've got some money that comes in. Maybe I've got some sponsorships I've sorted out. Maybe I've got a profit that I can put into my pocket. You know, just keep it running, man. Keep it running. Now, Babo John Maduka. in a progressive winning team, do you think John Maduka still has a job? Unfortunately. But these are the patterns that we're seeing from most of the league. And just like I spoke about in the beginning, the selling of statuses and how the league is run at times is impacting the product. This is also impacting the product. Because Mamelodi Sundowns is finishing 22 points ahead of everybody. 19 points last year, 16 points the year before. They keep extending and opening the gap. It's open. So at what point do we say, guys, nani teams, what are you doing to move forward? It's really irritating to watch. It's sad because this league has so much potential. But in any case, let me move on to the last topic. The last topic for today, obviously tonight we're going to break down and review the game, Bafana Bafana and everything that's happened. Join me 7 p.m. We're going to talk about all of the in-game stuff and the tactical stuff and all of that. Bafana Bafana's done well. I don't want to take anything away from them. Third place, AFCON, nobody was expecting anything from them. They've moved up in the rankings. They play pretty good football. You know, they do all of these things. Coach Bruce cannot be questioned for a lot of things. The question that I want to ask, the only question I want to ask, and maybe it's a national team question, and maybe it's what you prefer. Yes, when we watched the game versus Nigeria, we saw, okay, fine, we've got the starting lineup. A few people have been brought in, Abo Reinazi, and a couple of players that maybe hadn't gotten that much game time to play against Nigeria, right? And we saw subs come in, Abo Apolis come in, and they played a lot of the game. But there's this comment that I keep hearing when we're speaking about the national team from people that are on the show and watch the show and speak on the show and in the comments. They always speak about how these guys are not ready yet. Our Apolis, man, has he had enough games with Bafana Bafana? Has he come in? And in my mind, I asked myself the question, Apolis, Adams, a bunch of the players, Reinas, have been in this national team setup for more than a year. Have been in and around Hugo Bruce, in and around the team, the 23-man squads, the 38-man squads and all of that stuff. They've been around the team quite a while. But why is it that when push comes to shove and it's time now for them to show off and show why they were in this team, you can tell Guti corner like shota corner, man. They're missing a little bit of something. So then my question then becomes, for the past 18 months that you've been in Bafana Bafana, if you've only played 1 or 2 games, how can we be sure that those people who are sitting on the bench are good enough, are ready to play when we need them in tough times? Nigeria, I need to call somebody from the bench. Apolis comes on, doesn't light it up, doesn't really, jump in. Is the national team suffering from being top heavy? So we know about the Mokwenas, we know about the Mdaus, we know about the Zwanes, we know about the Persitaus, we know about the players that play consistently. But are we creating enough room to make sure that when Zwane is injured, there's somebody who's ready there? When Mokwena's tired, we saw how tired he was in the Nigeria game. There's somebody who understands what Bruce is doing and is ready to come in. Then you speak about the chopping and changing. Ngezana was nowhere near this team. You come and play versus Nigeria, you'd expect that one of the centre backs that is sitting on the bench is ready to step in and be the starter, and then Ngezana, new player in the team, can sit on the bench or work his way into the team, as people always say. Or are we wasting time with these other players? Are we wasting time with, bringing up Mayo? And even though we know that Mayo is not somebody that Hugo Bruce wanted to play, playing him in these friendlies, instead of going, okay, B team, who are playing in Dora, you guys have been to the AFCON, you guys have been in the national team setup, this is your game. Nina, Bo Bodlela, Bo Adams, all of these other players that have been part and parcel of this team, this is your game, Dlalani. Because the point of this is so that you guys are ready when we need to call you up for the quote-unquote first team. And then to play devil's advocate, it's a national team. Do you need to do that for a national team? Do you need to have players that are quote-unquote experienced within a coach's team? Or do you have a first team that the rest of the people are auditioning to maybe play one game in a 2-year span? Maybe play one game every now and then when we need them? Do you really need to have that? When you know that Pesitao is a starter, you know that Zwane is going to be your starter, you know that Mokwena is going to be your starter, you know that Pepelo's Toll is going to be your starter, you know that Mvala or Kekana are going to be your starters, Mudau is going to start on the right-hand side, Mudiba is going to be on the left. Do you need that sort of planning, that sort of preparation? But from my point of view, it's twofold. Number one, why take these players for 2 years? Every day, suit, every day they're training, every day they're flying to there, doing that, when you are not going to play them or trust them when it's hot. When it's hot, Shisa, you're not going to bring that person in and say, I trust you to go play this game. Or, Makshisa, and you put them on, you go, you're not ready. Yet you've been coming with us for 2 years, Mara, you are not ready. Then the secondary thing for me becomes, how then do you plan for the future? Guys, we're in June 2024. The World Cup is in 2026. That means 2 years of wear and tear on a Zwane. 2 more years. 2 more years of wear and tear on a Persitao. You've got a Zwane that with Sundowns is playing how many games in a year? You've got a Persitao who's playing how many games in a year? A Kekana, Mvala, Mokwena, a Mudiba, a Mudau, a Ronwen Williams. What does 2 years of wear and tear look like on a team? Thirdly, at what point do you blood people in? Because like I said, 2 years of wear and tear on your main players. Then when Zwane can no longer do it, you're going to ask somebody to just jump out of the blue, out of the wilderness, and have to take that role. Think about how difficult it's been. Think about how difficult it's been for a team like Barcelona to move on. Because there was no plan once that golden generation moved on. There was nobody who was getting ready to take that role once the golden generation moved on, which meant that at some point, Barcelona had to start from scratch, essentially. Bafana Bafana would have to start from scratch at some point. And you're calling people who don't have the experience, the game time, all of those things, and you're saying, boy, World Cup, knock on wood, World Cup. I need to hope and pray that you are going to walk onto that pitch and you're going to be able to do what I need you to do. Or do you make sure that you've got a core team down to the bench and you go Adams, When we're playing friendlies versus Andorra, you are my starting man because I need you to have game time. When we're playing tough games or even easier games that are serious and I need somebody to come on for the last 30 minutes so I can rest to Zwane, Adams, you are my guy. But now, Gezana is a starter. Out of the blue versus Nigeria. What of the development, the time put into the other guys who are sitting on the bench? Oh, Sbanbari needs to come off. I can't take him off. But then you've had people that you've been bringing along. These are all things for me where I sit back and I go, how are you meant to be developing these players in a national team sense? One of the people that everybody spoke about was Mofokeng. Now, can you imagine a scenario where Mofokeng gets called up for the next 10 teams, but maybe plays 2 games? What would be the point of bringing him along for all of those things? And then he walks onto the pitch and he's not ready. Abo Reinas, Abo Apolis, where you are like, I don't know if this is the best. This is all I'm asking. This is all I'm asking. And like I said, to be devil's advocate, I can also say that, look, it's a national team. You get to play 10 games at most in a year. Maybe just having a starting lineup core is great. And then the others will fit in where they fit in and fall out where they fall out. But I think it's an important question to ask in building for the future, in making sure that these youngsters are ready. Abo Mofokeng, Abo Campbell, Abo Adams, all of those people. How do we structure their development within a national team setup to make sure that when it's their time to be called, they're ready? To make sure, even the other guys, the fringe players, to make sure that when they're called upon, they're ready. When you need a game breaker and you look on the bench, you know that, we had a deep fight about this in the Overthinking Football WhatsApp group. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, click on subscribe, click on join there on YouTube and you'll gain access. We had a very big fight because people were saying some of these guys are tried and tested. And I asked, when are you tried and tested? When have you been put in a situation, into a game? If not twice. 2 matches you were put in. How do I know that you can shoulder the load that Themba Zwane shoulders if you've only ever played 2 matches for me? If you've played the same amount of matches as a Khanye Samayo, for example, who we know is not going to be in the national team. If that guy has played as many games as you, how do I differentiate between the two of you guys? Or am I hoping that because you've been around the squad for so long, you are ready to jump in? That was my point in the debate that we were having. So it's a very interesting question, guys, but to bring it back, Bafana Bafana is doing incredibly well. Like I said, bronze medalists at the AFCON. The group is going to be tricky. I think we're going to have to go win all of our quote-unquote little games, and those teams are not playing. Lesotho is not playing right now. They're not taking any prisoners. They're winning their games. So it's going to be interesting. I, for one, need this team back in the World Cup. We need, guys, it's been 14 years since the last time we went to the World Cup. 14. And that was only because we were hosting. Before that, it's even longer. It was 2002. 22 years where we qualified. So I think some of these questions are not to criticize or bring down Bafana Bafana. It's not, I'm not here to try and make them, we must hate them and whatever. Some of these things I am asking because I just want to see us get better. I want us to see us qualify for these things. I want to experience a World Cup where I'm not a fan of football and I'm actually watching my country and I'm proud of my country and they're playing. Do you know how nice it is to be a Banyana fan? Going to World Cups. Hey, you know, I watched that World Cup with such intent because I'm watching my country. Haven't been able to do that with the Bafana Bafana for a very long time. So some of these questions are just to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward when we go into these games. It's our best foot forward. We're making sure that we're prepared. We're making sure that the players are the ones. We're making sure that all of those things, all of those boxes are ticked so that Natishem, we can go play in a World Cup. So some of you that watch the show and think that it's just criticism for criticism's sake, no, most times it's for us to get better. Most times we look at situations and we say we're trying to get better. And if part of better means Bafana Bafana having a stable bench, Bafana Bafana having a ready bench, a capable bench of players that we know and have tried and they've shown performances that have given us something, that's all I want. Let's do that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This, of course, has been the George Mokoena live show. I am by myself. I speak by myself here. But then if you want to join the more interactive show, where you can actually add your voice to the show live, join me tonight at 7 p.m. The show, the Overthinking Football show, is on every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m., where we delve deeper into these topics, where we review matches, where we do watch-alongs, right? That's where you can jump in and we can talk and you can tell me what you think and I can ask questions and do all of that stuff. Incredible, incredible, incredible show with incredible conversations. And if you want to get a glimpse of those conversations, you can head on over to YouTube. They are available in full there, in full. You can listen to any of them. They are titled, they have thumbnails, all of that stuff. You can jump in where you want to jump in and you can listen to the incredible conversations and the people that are on that show. Then if you want to be part of the WhatsApp group, you have to click on subscribe, click on join. In the members area, that's where you'll find the link to the WhatsApp group. The conversations I have here and the conversations I have in the main show, those are all driven by the group. We go more in depth than anything there. We banter, we go back and forth. There's pictures, there's videos, there's voice notes. You know, there's a bunch of learning that we do in that group that is incredible. So if you want to be part of that and take these conversations further, or even just engage with me on some of the things that I've said, the group is available. The group is open 24/7. We are incredible people that we have on that side where we go back and forth. I'm not the smartest person in that group. I'm not the head person. We all teach each other. We all learn. It's a great place. So click on subscribe, click on join and go there. And also, guys, support the content. I have other videos, long and short form videos on my YouTube, on my TikTok. Go there, watch the videos, share the videos, comment, do all of those things. It really does help. There's not many platforms in SA where we can do this. There's not many platforms in SA, you'll see later, where you can jump in, right? Where we can talk as fans a little bit in depth with some of the topics that we're speaking about. But anyway, guys, this has been the George Mokoena Show live. I, of course, am your host, George Mokoena. Catch me again at 7 p.m. I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.